So this video really is about those people that you can get a job from and those people that can help you to get a job from the people that you can get a job from. Ultimately, the only person that you can get a job from is a producer. Now, that could be a movie producer, a television producer, a theatre producer, a radio producer, or even now a games producer. But it is a producer that has to sign off on you. So that's the person ultimately that you have to convince that you are right for the role. Now, a producer, because the producer is the person that employs everyone. The producer is the person that kind of owns the production. In some cases, they will have started it off and own the copyright to it. In other cases, they will be employed by a company to do that job as if they did own the copyright on it themselves. So everything goes back to the producer. A producer will employ a director. Now, it's probably the director that will try to convince the producer to give you the job. So the director is a very important person as far as you're concerned. Sometimes, as in the case of people like Ridley Scott, the director and the producer are the same person. But sometimes they're not. So you need to get in front of directors and you need to wow them with your acting ability and wow them with your correctness for that particular role. How do you do that? We'll come on to that in a second. The next person in the food chain is a person that's employed by both the producer and the director to suggest actors for roles, and that person is called a casting director, fairly obviously. Now, the casting director will sift through actors, and they will know actors and know what styles that actor has got and the way that actor, particular talents that actor has. So it would be good, from your perspective, if you knew as many casting directors as possible, or as many casting directors knew you as possible. So there's a saying, which we've all heard, which is called, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, in acting, obviously, it's about what you know, because ultimately you've got to be able to deliver on the role once you've got it. But to get it, it is about who you know. So the three people that you need to convince to give you a job are casting director, director and producer, going up the tree. But there is someone that you can employ to help you get a job, and that's an agent or representation. They sometimes they're called agents, sometimes they're called, particularly in the States, they're called representation. Now, an agent is someone that you employ to represent you to those three other types of people. But you have to convince them to let you employ them. So they really have all the power, and probably they employ you, even though you pay them. So what does an agent give you? Well, an agent gives you a blue tick. An agent is someone that a casting director and a producer will say, okay, well, this person is represented by so-and-so. I respect so-and-so's opinion. So I am going to see this person. I'm going to let this person audition for this job. As opposed to someone that might have just come in off the street and have no experience. It's very difficult then for a casting director to take a risk on someone when nobody else is vouching for them, if you like. So maybe, not necessarily it has to be, but maybe one of the first things that you need to do is to get an agent. Not yet, though. You might be at the stage where you can get an agent, but maybe you're not, because your technique isn't good enough and your art isn't good enough. So we need to improve those two things before we go and get an agent. And obviously, for those of you that are annual subscribers, we have the opportunity to appear in our Agents and Casting Directors Showcase. and we'll talk you through that process as we get closer to it. But going back to what I was saying about it being who you know, your homework, if you like, from this lesson is to make sure that you know everyone, okay? And what I want you to do is to start building up a database of anybody that could give you a job, and then record your interactions with that person. So make a note of your interactions of that person. Now you can do it on an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. When I started off, I had a card index box, and I literally wrote everybody's name at the top of the card, and then I'd make a note of when I'd spoken to them, when I called them, when I wrote to them, whatever. Now it would be email them as well. So you build up that record. So there's two things. One is that you start to get to know them. Perhaps more importantly is that they start to get to know you. So it's very careful how you manage your interaction with these people, because they obviously, you really, you probably only do get one chance a lot of the time. In the first instance. I mean, there's a story that I wanted to tell you about an audition that I had very early on in my acting career, and I really wanted the part, and I was devastated when I didn't get it. But I kept in touch with the director. I sent them, a note every now and then. I let them know when I was appearing in something or what have you. And 2 years later, I got a call out of the blue from my then agent to say that director had offered me a leading role in his next production, which was better than the role that I was devastated that I hadn't got 2 years ago. So again, this is the important thing, that we keep in contact with people. It's the marketing that we do, that we make sure that we are in their minds, and they know we're actors and they respect us for that. So over the course of the next 2-3 months, just start building up your database. Now, how can you populate your database? Well, obviously the internet is a great place to do some research. So you can find actors agents on IMDbPro.com. You can find them on Spotlight.com, which has a publication called Contacts, which is something that publishes every agent's contact details, fairly obviously from the title. So start doing that. I want you to get into the habit of doing 2 things for your business career every day. Okay, so add 2 people to that database at least today. Find out 2 contact details. Maybe don't contact them at this stage, but just start to get an idea of the type of if they're casting directors, the type of actors they cast, the type of productions they get employed on. If they're directors, the type of productions that they work on. Just get to know their names, get an idea of where they are. Agents, when you're looking at those, get to know the type of actors that they employ, and the type of jobs that they get for their actors. If you don't want to be if you don't want to be an extra background artiste, it's no good going to an extras agency. So just find out the caliber of the jobs that particular agent has. Maybe you could do a 5-star system. If they're representing Daniel Craig, and people like that, they get 5 stars, and then work your way down the list. Just get a feeling for the type of people that are who you ultimately want to represent you. And then over the course of the next few months, we'll start to build up how we're going to get in front of those people and how we are going to market ourselves to those people. Because one of the problems that you've got is that if you go to an agent and you say, will you represent me? They say, well, can I see some of your work? And of course, if you haven't got any work, you can't show them it. So again, it's another one of those catch-22 situations. So we need to look at ways that we can break that. And obviously one of the ways that we break that is with our annual showcase, where we've encouraged you to at a later date to start to let casting directors and agents know who you are, and then when they come to see you perform, they will have an idea of where you are, what your personality is, because you've contacted them. And even if nothing comes of it, then you go with a different agent. You keep in contact with the other people just to make sure that everybody knows where you are, what you're doing, what you're up to, and that you are firmly a part of show business. So let's start populating that database, and we'll come on to talk a little bit more as we go through this thing. And we'll have interviews with casting directors, we'll have interviews with agents who can give you an insight. And obviously, you've got me as a producer. We'll bring on some directors as well, and they will give you their inside thoughts about how they like to be approached by actors, and what is it about particular actors, and what skills do you have that will make them and ultimately you employable. See you in the next lesson.